Well, welcome to Dumfries Ice Boat, we have here today Richard Smith. Hello, Richard.
Good evening, John.
Graham Sloan, and this is John Graham speaking, and we are going to televise one of the games from the Scottish Funeral Care Scottish Curling Men's Championships qualifiers. And the game we're watching is between Ross McCleary of Kinross and Duncan Gracie of Lockerbie. So we're actually started the first end. And Richard, you'll know a fair number of these players.
I do that, John, yes. Good evening to everybody out there today. I play quite often against Duncan Gracie. We both play at Lockerbie. In fact, we've got a Super League game this Wednesday, so I've got kind of mixed feelings. Obviously I want him to do well, but I want his form to dip next Wednesday when he actually plays us in the Super League. But yeah, I do know a lot of the players out there, and yeah, it should be a good game. It should be a close, tight battle between the two teams.
So just the early opening moves here. McCleary playing the yellow shots and Duncan Gracie playing the blue shots, that's blue stones. And Gracie has got the hammer in this first end of 10. You weren't here earlier on for some of the earlier games, but can I say to you, really good curling. Very tight games. Some of the teams got ahead, but can I say to you, just shows you the level of curling when the others actually caught up with them and sometimes overtook them. So, good.
Yeah, that's good to hear, John. No, I'm just actually in for the session. I've just come straight from my work. But yeah, I mean, we can see in the game here that they seem to be keeping it quite open just now. They're just kind of hitting. Obviously they'll just be trying to test out each other's capabilities just now, not wanting to do anything silly the first end. I just see that Ross is calling for a guard there just at the front, because all the stones just now have been into the house. We're now on, what are we on with second stones getting played.
If I manage to actually press the buttons correctly, you'll be able to see them up there.
Right, that's great.
That's if I remember to press the button.
That's great, John.
There's a lot of technology that we didn't have last week, so we'll...
Well, that was a good shot there from the McCleary team, exactly what Ross had called. Just went out the front. And Duncan's just going to split it off.
Right, okay, we've kind of got it right, we think, this time, so that's Scott Robertson. And James Stark next to plate. They're fairly getting through this first end.
Yeah, I mean, well, certainly the first few stones were in the house, so they did certainly have a few hits from the early players, and obviously the hits are a wee bit quicker, and equally they weren't really taking any time with the decision. It was just hit, which always adds to make it quite a quick end. Although we haven't got time clocks this weekend,
no.
So they're not really up against that pressure. But certainly the first session, I believe, was slightly behind time, was it, John?
There was one or two teams in that, but they managed to catch up in the wee break in between. But it's very tight to get the ice prepared. So,
have we got quite a lot in swing on the ice this today so far, John?
I didn't think that it was overly swingy, maybe 3 or 4 foot in some places, but I think it was actually catching them out, because the game that we watched was between Hamilton and Kyle Smith, and Kyle Smith had the game well in hand in the first wee bit, but then some, all you can say is that some wee errors ended up with them maybe no getting past guards and that, and that handed the Hamilton's team and gave them that edge, you know. So I think it's they've got to read it, you know. If they can't read it, they've got problems.
Yeah, well, that's certainly the same for both teams, isn't it? But it's still quite keen ice, is it?
Oh, it was
Definitely
very keen.
Yep.
In fact, there was once that the Smith team lost an end because they didn't. I think that they were maybe looking for the stone to draw up sooner, and it just run right out the 8 foot, you know. So
there's just a wee mistake from James Stark there. It didn't quite draw as much as they expected, and he just kind of bounced off the McCleary stone, and it's now sitting in the open, and Ross McCleary's asked for the hit. It's coming down, the sweepers are on it, they're sweeping it hard all the way. If he gets a favourable roll, he'll be in command. He's just taking it over. Yep, split the house. That was a good shot from James Stark there. That's Ross McCleary's vice, so a good shot from James Stark. Yeah, certainly James Stark. I've known James Stark for a number of years, good friend of mine, and he used to play in Gavin Fleming's team. He played with Gavin Fleming for a couple of years.
Right.
But now that Gavin's kind of taken a back seat and almost in semi-retirement, he's moved to Ross McCleary's team. But certainly James Stark has played at the Scottish finals on numerous occasions, and he's been around the circuit for quite a few years, so again, a lot of experience in that rink there.
So Rory White playing quite a heavy stone here.
And here Ross McCleary's team's obviously eyeing up. They'll just be going for a nose hit in that, John, you would say?
Looks like
nose hit and split the house. And as Gracie's got the hammer in this end, haven't they? So it might be the case that Duncan will have to certainly draw the 4 foot, or at least most of the 8 foot, depending where this goes.
Force him to take a 1, eh?
Yep. Take his 1, and then McCleary will get the hammer. But still a few shots to go. We've still got the skip shots just starting now. That's McCleary's shot coming down. The sweepers aren't on it, and it's just rolling out though. So a wee bit of a mistake there. I mean, whether he took just slightly too much ice or just played it a wee bit wide, they maybe thought he would draw at the end, but that's almost put the advantage back to Duncan Gracie here. If Duncan can get a good shot, is he calling the freeze?
Well, I think he seems to be heading that way because he was kind of indicating that if he caught that front corner guard that he'd maybe come in off it. So I think he must be looking to just freeze on the inside of that yellow stone that's lying there. So.
And that's it. If he does get by the guard and gets it buried in the freeze, I mean, it will. That'll certainly give him the advantage. With the skips, well, McCleary's only got 1 shot to play.
Well, it's doable, like, you know. And
oh, definitely.
You can see. I mean, in saying that, Ross, Rory wasn't giving them that much ice. So Scott Robertson starting to look at it. Needs to draw. Scott just giving it that wee bit extra.
It's coming in. Is it drawing as much as? No, it might actually be past. No.
Just need to draw that wee bit extra.
It did, yes. So that's almost the same mistake they made earlier, just bouncing off. And it is in the open. So again, McCleary got a hit, and if he gets a wee roll, splits the house again. Although, will he be able to see most of the shot? I think he will.
I think he could see it. I mean, when you actually have a look at it from behind there, you know, It's quite clear he should actually be able to just catch the outer edge of that and actually maybe even roll onto his own. Oh no, that's strange why he's taken. Is he open to hit it and then roll away from it, is it?
Well, I mean, depending how much he can see, he'll probably see it all. So whether he's trying to hit he'll be trying to hit just where starts
changed
moved.
the eyes.
Yeah.
He's changed the handle on
It's whether he got down to the hack and had a look and just decided to come that way. And he just has to come a sensible weight, and if he can get half of it and roll
it. Well, it's on its way.
over, it
It's
is.
got a good weight on it, by the way. Yes, aye. Pleased with that one.
Oh, really good shot there, yes. To split the house and just chap his over at the back of the 12 foot. So now Duncan has got a draw to the, well, he'll have to be fully in the 8 foot to take his one. I mean, Duncan's last shot, he did come to the tee line, so he has pretty much, he's had a draw before.
And the sweepers have got that knowledge from that last shot, so that's always to the advantage when you're looking for this. The wee bit extra pressure that's on you when you're trying to draw the last shot.
It is that. I mean, it makes such a difference when you've got confidence in your sweepers and you can just concentrate in the line if you're the skip and leave the sweep in.
They're no touching it?
No. I'm thinking about it at the hog. Just keeping it clean. They're on it now. I think he's quite comfortably made that, yep. Yep, just tee weight there, right in the 4 foot. So that's 1-2 Duncan Gracie in the first end. That was quite an interesting end. They had a lot of shots in play, a lot of good shots from both teams there.
So on the other rinks we've got Emmanuel versus Grant Hardy. It's a knee. And I'm trying to look through people in that. W. Smith versus Mundell and D, and S. Fraser versus M. Coombe on sheet B, and we will try to update them. Whether or not we can actually superimpose those scores onto what we're doing is a moot point. Mr. Sloan, what do you think?
We're getting a little bit braver, John. We're now happy where the on-off button is.
Right. Okay.
So we're just we've been left to our own devices. David Owen is the mastermind behind all these new images that you're seeing. So hopefully you're enjoying the coverage. But we should really give David a mention for all his research and hard work behind the scenes. I think he spent a lot of hours at home into the wee small hours of the night, just organising the team names, the draws, the setup, the look of it all. So hopefully you're getting a good visual at home. That's if we actually pressed go.
If we didn't, you could maybe phone somebody at the ice bowl and let them know. So.
Graham, have we got the ability for people on the web to put comments in today, or can they put comments on Facebook?
Oh, there's our first technical question. I do believe there is a chat space somewhere,
but we can't see it.
And
wait a minute.
This is risky, Richard. We're going to press a button here and see what happens. There is our chat room. People can, I believe, don't ask me how, but...
So if anybody is out there and watching it live, if they would like to say a comment, even if it's just hello and where you're from, just so that partly we can test the technology here. We're quite happy for any questions to come in, and if we have got the knowledge, we will certainly try and answer them. Any curling related matter, we're quite happy to deal with. I'm not saying we'll know the answer, but if you want to ask our opinion, we'll certainly go for it. So far we haven't got anybody coming up yet. Hopefully somebody out there will say hello.
Wait a minute, where are we? Who's played that?
And back to the game here. We've got a kind of midway guard, just centre guard there. and Duncan's just calling for a shot to be drawn round the guard, the top of the house. So that's Scott Robertson on the play now. He's just let go of the stone.
Just a reminder, Sky Sports, we are not. Or Eurosport, or anybody like that.
But John, what we lack in technical knowledge, I'm sure we make up for enthusiasm.
And we're
Hey, Graham?
Or flair.
And we're quite prepared to travel the world at your expense to actually come and commentate for you.
So if anybody is out there from, I don't know, do they curl in Barbados or
know,
any of these warm countries?
Make an ice rink up for us, couldn't they? You know.
Although they are curling in Las Vegas just now.
Absolutely,
Continental Cup.
yeah.
And certainly looking at the scores, it's been some really thrilling games. I noticed one of the scores that Eve Muirhead beat Jennifer Jones from Canada 12-2 in the game that they played.
Well done.
Which is obviously Eve Muirhead is Team GB representative in Sochi at the Winter Olympics, which starts next month, and Jennifer Jones is the Canadian representative. So we're just hoping that if they do meet in the final, the scoreline something similar. I certainly wouldn't complain if that scoreline happened in Sochi.
That's a good booster for Eve and her team as well, you know, because I think that they hadn't maybe went where they wanted to with all the games in the Europeans, and clearly if they're beating them across there at this time, that's a good morale booster for them.
Oh, definitely. And somebody like Jennifer Jones, the Canadian team, she's got a huge amount of experience, so, and she has been on the circuit longer than Eve. So for Eve to come out and beat her so convincingly in almost a warm-up game, it obviously gives them a big confidence boost.
And when you see some of the playing of the Canadians and that, the sheer volume of players and teams they've got across there. I watched some of it on some of the TV programmes and that. Absolutely fantastic what their level of curling is.
Oh, Canada's just got such strength and depth. Each of the provinces has got 4, 5, 6, 7 teams that could probably come to the Scottish and would be in with a chance of winning it.
Aye.
Or could probably go to any championships, the Swedish, the German, the Swiss, and be in with a chance of winning it. And a lot of these top Canadian teams can't even get out of their province. That is how hard the competition is.
Quite unbelievable. This game seems to be quite involved actually now when you see what's happening there. That's a good shot there, and to split that guard and or split that shot there, and so that's Ross McCleary managed to get 2 shots in the house, and to some extent both guarded.
So Duncan's just elected to rip his front guard off, because obviously since he's not got the hammer, he wants it to be open.
I think he'll be hoping to put this blue guard, Richard, onto one of the yellows. That would be a nice result for him.
That would definitely be. Has he got it, or is it just ripping it? He has. He's got
well done, Rory.
Good split there, and it's just rolled out on the wing. And you know what the technical name for the stone on the wing is? It's a flob, which stands for flipping lucky outside biting. I don't know, is that a new...
Sorry, I picked you up there, Ron, Richard. I thought you said a flop. I was thinking, are we back in Las Vegas?
No, it is a flob where it's just biting on the outside. That was a term given to me many years ago when I was curling with Richard Harding.
I think that you'll actually find that a lot of people start to use the word flob now.
But I'll have to say it has been modified because he didn't use the word flipping.
A little Scottish twist on it.
Uh-huh. We still haven't had any chats in yet, so whether the technology's not working or whether anybody doesn't want to talk to us, I don't know. It could be either option.
It may well be that I haven't pressed the right button yet, but
I've maybe jumped to player too many. It's no Duncan Gracie.
We're a little bit concerned that we push the wrong button we might lose all coverage, so we're taking it slowly at the moment, Richard. We're building into our confidence on how these buttons work, and I'm sure by the end of play we'll have figured out how to stop the recording.
That's great, Graham. I'm just dealing with the microphone, and I'll let you deal with the technical side. We've got McCleary coming. We've got James Stark in the hack. That's Ross McCleary's vice. He's coming up, and he's just going for a draw. He'll be trying to draw around the blue guard. Halfway down, sweepers are on it. It's coming down nicely. The sweepers have come off it. It is by the guard, but is it big weight? It seems quite big weight, and take it at the back of the house, and it's actually out of the back. So a bit of an error from James Stark there.
And no flobs anymore, Richard.
No, and there's no flobs in play at the wing either.
3 of them round about there, but not quite.
So that was James Stark, just played slightly heavy there. It just run through the house. The sweepers did go on it halfway down just for a short time, so whether they were sweeping it for line. And now you've got Gracie eyeing up a hit. What do you think, Graham? Do you think he'll try and hit and roll behind the guard?
I think that would certainly be a good result for him. He'll just be, I'm sure, making sure that this Yellowstone goes out to begin with. The risk of going behind the corner guard is he could actually end up behind the tee, which would give Ross McCleary obviously the chance to follow that round and freeze and generate his scoring opportunity for a 2. So even a little roll to the left wouldn't be a disaster here, and wait until his last shot to try and force the one. So he's got a couple of options in there.
Yep, but stone's away. It's halfway down. He's just called on the sweepers, and then he called them off. He's got a wee roll. Just pretty much rolled, half a stone, so it's pretty open.
I think you definitely called it right, Richard, though they were trying to roll in behind that corner guard. You could see the vice skip, Rory White, was trying to sweep it over there.
And I think Ross McCleary's just called the same shot there, has he? And a hit and the roll over to the wing. Yeah,
and this time he's probably quite happy to roll across and in behind, because it gives him a great opportunity of scoring 2.
Yes, definitely there, Graham. He'll obviously be wanting a little bit of movement on it. Open hit and just roll behind any of the blue guard halfway across. So this is Ross McCleary's first stone. Skip stones. Duncan Gracie's has 1. He's got 1 to go. In the hack, he's just pushed off, just released it. Sweepers are following it. Sweepers just keeping it clean just now. They've just come off. And they're watching it all the way. Pretty much a nose hit, so it's still in the open. And you imagine Duncan Gracie will go for the same shot, a hit, and try and get a wee bit of movement over behind the blue guard. I think Ross McCleary just came up and made a sign to his vice, James Stark, there, that he thought it would draw a wee bit more, but obviously it didn't. So
quite a big weight, Richard. Maybe just that extra bit of running. We found that earlier on today. Quite weight sensitive the draw. Just that wee bit extra speed on it. Maybe just held it on the line.
And Duncan just got a nose hit there as well. So McCleary will just... Well, do you think he'll just go for the nose hit, or do you just blanket and keep the hammer?
I think he'll probably play for the blank, Richard, if he can get it. There's a couple of little areas to avoid. Obviously he needs to miss the back yellow, if he's going to roll to the left, and if he's rolling to the right, he needs to miss the blues. Otherwise, that'll keep him in the house as well. So there you can see James Stark just indicating to watch for the jam.
And they've decided to come the other handle. So do they think they'll maybe be a wee bit
maybe just looking to catch this a little bit thinner than they maybe would have liked, just to make sure they avoid the blues out on the right. Sweepers are on it. They're sweeping hard. Could be a nose hit.
Yep, pretty much a nose hit, so a wee bit of a mistake there. I mean, he takes his one, but you would have thought he would have wanted to keep the hammer. So that's 2 ends down, and it's 1-1 between Ross McCleary and Duncan Gracie in this men's qualifying. This is the first game in Section B today at Dumfries Ice Bowl. We've had one section before, that was Section A, their first game. And then after this, we've got Section C playing their first game of the weekend.
And there you can see the other scores. We've found the button that brings them up onto the screen for you, so we will now start just keeping them up to date. But there's a little idea of what's going on.
Certainly just looking at those scores, it's just singles have kind of been exchanged. You think that all the teams, with it being their first game, are obviously not wanting to gamble and go for any big ends, just nip and tuck, keeping it tight this early stage. Certainly this section is still quite wide open, with a lot of the teams got everything to play for. And this competition, this qualifying, will be played to a finish on Sunday afternoon, is it, Graham?
The last draw on Sunday morning is 9 o'clock, Richard. And if all the games are done and dusted after that draw, there'll be no tie breaks, but there are provisionally 2 tie breaks scheduled in on the Sunday as well. So I think Section A we have 4 qualifiers, and B and C have 3 each. So it just depends how the last couple of games go for those final positions, whether we need tie breaks or not.
Yep, certainly. I mean, so it could all be finished for lunchtime on Sunday, and then we will have, but certainly come Sunday night, we'll have the 10 teams that will go forward to play the Scottish Championship in Perth, which is mid-February. What are the exact dates?
I think you're right. I couldn't give you the exact dates. We've just got the qualifying dates here at the moment.
But certainly the Scottish Championship for both the men's and the ladies, the finals are at Perth this year, as they have been for the last couple of years, with 10 men's teams playing off for the championship to be crowned Scottish champions, and we've got 7 ladies teams playing off for the ladies championship at the same time. They've already played some of their games. They played them at Dumfries Ice Bowl here just before Christmas. But of course the Scottish Championships this year is probably as open as it has been for a number of years, with obviously Eve Muirhead's team and Dave Murdoch's men's teams both in Sochi playing at the Winter Olympics. So they don't actually get to play the Scottish Championships this year.
So David McMeekin just playing his second stone and hoping to just hang into. He's just caught the guard, just a wee bit down in weight, I think, there, and the end result was that it's given McCleary a wee bit of a boost there. Just lacking in weight, and caught one of the front guards. So McCleary now electing to consider a draw through what appears to be a very narrow gap. But perhaps the gap actually looks a lot bigger when you're down there, and with the draw of the ice it maybe lends itself to it if it can get through there. And the second option obviously is that he's looking as that it'll maybe knock that front yellow a wee bit back.
Yeah, I think that's what he was calling there, John. Just if he gets through the gap, great. If not, he might just split it in.
Shows a lot of confidence in his players and also in his sweepers by electing a shot like that.
The stone's away and the sweepers are on it. No, they're
Looks
just kind of
bit
calling them off.
Looks like the second option. It's not bad because it's blocked the hole. So Duncan quickly in, electing to hit and roll off this front yellow there. Duncan having a last stone advantage here, so he won't be wanting to allow anything to block up at the front, which will stop him getting through to the 4 foot. Scott Robertson plays playing out of Lockerbie, I see, and he's playing second for Duncan today.
Yep, Duncan just calling the sweepers on. It's certainly coming down. It can't be far away. It's looking good. It's looking good. Yep, by the guard. And just sitting at the front of the house. So, what do you think Ross will do here? Will he block it up or will he try and get another one in?
Even if he was lying angled onto that blue one there, the last played one, it wouldn't be a bad one. Because at the end of the day, I mean...
I think he's called to come round. Come round the other side. Come round as you look at it on the screen, the leftmost guard.
Kind of surprised at that, mind, because he's really leaving the opposition the opportunity of a raise, you know. So.
Super's on it. Just come off it there. It's looking good. The weight maybe looks a bit. No, the weight's good. Certainly not. It's maybe just got to finish now. Just half buried. Is it the back of the house?
As you can see, the ice is quite keen and it just maybe run on a wee bit further than what he anticipated. So he's got two options here. He can raise either of those blues in some ways. I would have thought they would have went for the one that had been last played, but
the McCleary team really is starting to put the pressure on now, though they've certainly found the right ice, correct weight. They're starting to put the Gracie team under a wee bit of pressure.
I didn't just like the way that Duncan was like given some options there, but it was like, well, if we didn't get this, we'll go that way. But
plan B, C and D.
Aye.
Looks like they're trying to come to the back yellow.
Sorry.
This is close.
That was well played, man.
Nice shot by Scott Robertson.
I'm not sure that's what they were going for.
It worked.
Right.
Yep, quite often when you play this, even if you have a plan B, sometimes they can end up just as good. No, I think they would have liked it to stop just a wee fraction before, but equally it's a good backer shot there. James Stark playing the shot, coming down. It looks wide just now. It looks quite high. It doesn't look as if it's going to finish that much.
It's coming now. It's coming now.
Oh well.
It's there, but does that open up is there a double there now? On the one that just played and over onto the one in the centre? No, Duncan's just calling the hit on his own shot. So he'll try and hit that onto the yellow that James Stark just played.
I think Duncan, just keeping in mind that he's got the last stone of this end, and he's still in a little bit of bother. He's got a good second shot in there, but he's in a little bit of bother with the yellow counter in the 4-foot.
Yep, you're right there, Graham. I think with him having the last stone, the last thing he wants is it to be all blocked up and not having a road into the middle. So they've decided just to push back some of the guards, and obviously he wants the shooter to roll slightly.
That's actually pretty good.
That's what he called, I think, Graham. That's what he called.
Good result from what he called,
yes.
yep. I think he was maybe looking for a wee bit more contact on that to try and roll the blue one back in the way as well, but he's got a little bit, as you said, Richard, he can now see his route in there.
I have just actually received an update on Facebook, actually, Graham and John. I've just actually received an update on, and it's actually about it's a curler that you'll both well know, Neil Fife, and he has actually put a request in, and the request is that I've not to start telling any jokes. So Neil, if you're listening to the commentary, I'll try my best.
No jokes, but singing's allowed.
Well, possibly.
So hopefully, Neil, you're enjoying the amateurish pictures that we're providing in the absence of our technical guru. So hopefully it's all coming through well for you, and you're getting a good flavour of how these teams are playing.
Here's Duncan eyeing up a double takeout. It certainly is on if he gets the angles right. The danger is, of course, that he just jams it onto the one in the 4-foot. But if he does get the angles perfect, he can lift the 2 yellow stones, and that would leave him certainly lying 1 blue.
He could also catch this really nice, Richard, and leave himself lying 3 if he catches the yellow onto the right hand side of the stone on the button and runs it back into the blue. It would take the back yellow out as well. But he's just a little high, and he's taking his omen out as well, so not quite what was asked there. Again, if we'd had our telestrator up and running for this session, we could have drawn a wee picture on there to show you the trick shot.
Keep it simple.
Safety first. I think the McCleary team just need to keep that in mind. Any contact on their own yellow, if it catches the blue on the way through, the blue's going to stay in, and the 2 yellows would come out. So they've just got to position these next shots now carefully, not to lose a 2.
I think they were looking at either sticking one just in front of that blue guard, just at the front of the house, or either just behind it.
The thing is that yellow in the 4-foot is well placed, and I mean the way the stones are at the front of it, it's guarding it, it just doesn't lend itself to a straight hit back, you would think,
No, you're right there, John. And I mean, if Ross can get a really good guard on here, it will be difficult for Duncan to get that yellow stone out. At this stage, if it does get guarded, Duncan might have to have a good draw at the 4-foot to take a 1.
Certainly nip and tuck at the moment between the two teams,
So this is the first of Ross McCleary's stones. We've just got the skip stones on this end, the third end. That's it away, just played, it's halfway down. Sweepers are on it. Yep, James Stark just watching the line there, sweepers are on it. Oh, and they've got the big long guard on. Maybe curled just a wee fraction too much to be a perfect guard. Do you like it just half a stone further over?
You just wonder whether or not they're maybe more worried about the tapping that blue back than, and that's what they were really looking to guard. What do you think, Graham?
I think that one maybe looked like it started curling early on them, and has come across, so they had to lift the sweepers so that they didn't over curl the shot. Right. But again, it's positioned it nicely. The Gracie team are in a bit of trouble now. They've just got the button to aim for at the moment. This one's a little high.
Take one of the guards away, and Ross McCleary, you would imagine he'll just put another guard on. Maybe give himself a wee bit more ice this time. Or are they looking at putting another one in the house?
I don't see that there's any benefit of putting another one into the house there. They've got a great opportunity to force the one or steal. If they bring another one in, they potentially are just giving the Duncan Gracie an opportunity to generate his two, unless they can get a real good one round the blue guard, but that's a big risk in that shot.
Yeah, you're right there, Graham, because if they're just a wee bit tight and they split the guard open, Duncan might have an open hit, even for his two. But they're certainly having a wee bit of discussion here. They're obviously weighing up all the options. And again, James, they're obviously looking at the kind of back blue one. They're making various indications about trying to hit the back blue one out. If they get half of it, spin it out.
I think that's what they're going for.
Yep. Certainly calling that ice. You would think they're going to try and hit the blue. There will be a wee bit of distance between the shots, so if he gets half of it, it'll spin out, the back yellow one will go out, and his shooter might roll to the
right-hand side.
Roll to the right-hand side. If it's still in the house, beating the blue front one, I mean, that would mean Duncan would have to draw the 4 foot.
Well, do you think if the
draw the button,
if Duncan Gracie was to draw up to that back blue at the moment, he would be lying shot?
I don't know from the angle we're on. I don't know. I don't actually think he will be.
I don't think so either. So McCleary needs to make sure he doesn't nose this one. If he noses this shot, then he's going to leave Duncan a little cap in there, and that would assist him getting to the button. Here it comes. It looks a little high at the moment. He's missing it.
No.
Well, you'd certainly have to say that was a mistake from Ross McCleary there.
Big mistake.
What's your mindset on this shot now, Richard? Do you go for the 2 in the knowledge that you may lose a 1, or do you play the simple shot and try and score your 1?
I mean, Duncan's certainly got his draw weight because he's drawn the 4 foot a couple of times. Certainly got his weight to the tee line, so you'd have to be confident with that. No, I think they're icing for. They're calling the ice for the run back on the blue. The blue at the front just biting the 12 foot. They're giving ice to run that straight back onto the yellow for his 2. Equally, if he gets the only advantage with this is if he just has to hit the yellow slightly and move it, and he's got that blue at the back of the 4 foot that'll be currently sitting second shot.
Do you think he can see the nose of this blue stone? Can he get to the nose?
He certainly won't see a lot of it.
It's on its way anyway.
It's on its way.
Nice controlled weight. It looks as if it's going to catch it high. Oh.
Could we have a blank end? Now then. Did you see that happening?
No, I certainly didn't.
We've got a measure on a flob. We're speechless over here. whenever put that shot in the equation.
No, I mean, to be fair, we never actually really called that shot.
A little fortunate.
I think that's what he probably went for. Obviously, they can see the angles better than we can see from sitting up here in our defence. But yeah, I mean, it was a good shot from Duncan.
Do we think the Blues scored one there?
Well, they certainly didn't call anybody on for a measure, so it must have been clear.
No, I think it was still a steal of yellow. I think the McCleary team stole that. They're heading back to the hack first. So it's 1 to McCleary.
Well, if it is a steal for McCleary, I mean, Duncan will obviously be disappointed with. He certainly didn't get by the guard bar much, so was nicking it out really ever on. He obviously must have thought it was since he went for it, but
he certainly made contact with it, so it must have been there.
But he will be disappointed with coming over and taking the blue all the way out and not.
That's right. That just shows how thin a contact he made on the yellow that he was able to actually catch the blue stone at the back of the forefoot as well.
Or maybe the way they looked at the angles, they thought if they got a thin on the yellow, it would go back onto the blue and jam, so the shooter would stay. But yeah, that was a steal of one by Ross McCleary there. They just put a long guard on, and Duncan's called to draw round about it.
So McCleary drew a centre guard on it, and followed by Duncan Gracie getting looking to draw round behind it, but he's left himself a wee bit open.
Came right round and out the other side, John. Maybe just a little bit lack of handle on that shot and just cut across at the end.
So not much ice being asked for, so probably just light barrier weight. Oh,
looks like he's just
a lot
trying
less
to bump
weight
it
than what I thought it was, as you say, just bumping it back a bit. But still leaving the yellow of McCleary, the blue of Gracie short.
Yep, and Duncan's just kind of called the freeze there.
Asking for a lot more ice than what McCleary did, so. And I thought McCleary's was like just draw weight anyway.
Richard, obviously we've got the Olympics coming up next month. Any other than the curling, any specific sports that you like to follow?
To be honest, I mean, I'll watch whatever's on, but I do like the snowboarding, to be fair. Being a snowboarder myself, I do like either the racing or the tricks. I'm certainly not up to Olympic standard, and I'm not quite up to the standard of doing all the jumps, but I do like watching the snowboarding. And yourself, Graham, any sports you'll be watching?
Not specifically. We tend to just try and watch the previews and get a bit of everything. There's so many disciplines and sports on now that it's hard to keep track on one individually when there's so many on that are of interest. So tend to just try and watch the daily catch-ups and get a wee bit of all the action.
I haven't actually seen the weather forecast. Are they having much snow in Sochi just now? Because I know that was one of the concerns, that there might not be enough snow for some of the events.
Well, I had heard that they'd stored snow up from last year in some hangars and that they were producing their own snow, so they may well be thinking that there's a little shortage.
But certainly the indoor sports, the the ice hockey, the curling, the skating, I mean, they're all pretty much be okay whether there's snow or not.
So again, McCleary's team have got their shot on the button first, in pole position again this end. And Gracie's team are needing to just get a good one in here just to get control of this end.
I presume that Duncan's just looking for them to come round and move his blue that's there further up. Is that what they're looking for?
Just look to promote it, yep.
Yes,
it's
just a wee promotion.
Run out of steam.
Still not a bad position.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of stones in play here. I mean, certainly more of a Gudley end.
Aye, and it's, I mean, Duncan probably had the option of going left or right with the last one, you know, and probably trying to just get his own up into the centre is probably the best that he could do there. Maybe Scott just needed a wee bit more extra weight. And
well, that was quite a good shot from McCleary rink there. Just open it up a bit, take one of the blue stones out. And now I think Duncan will be calling a hit on this, asking big Scott Robertson to hit the yellow. No, he's given quite a lot of ice. Is he just asking a kind of barrier weight?
I think he's maybe going hack weight, trying to put the top yellow over the top of the second yellow and just trying to push them out into the 12 foot and leave his own one in to lie 3.
Yep, you're right there, Graham. Because it does look just kind of a hack barrier weight.
Sweepers are waiting for this.
Oh, and unfortunate there. He got the contact. If it had he got the right angles, if it had just a wee bit more weight.
Possibly a little bit too aggressive there, Richard. Maybe a bit more weight to make sure the yellows come out the 4 foot.
Well, that's always the thing when you're trying to move 2 stones and you're only getting half an angle on them. Sometime you are better just upping the weight a wee bit, because he got the angle spot on, but obviously trying to move 2 stones, he's not moved either of them far enough. Can't see the angle from up here, but it certainly looks 1 yellow, possibly 2 yellows.
A little better shot there this time. We can now see it's definitely 3 yellows.
Definitely 3 yellows now, Graham.
It's amazing what one shot can, how it can change the look of an end. Wasn't quite quick enough in getting that picture to you there, Richard, to see who was actually lying before that shot was played, and I'm too scared to press the action replay button in case I lose it. So we'll get a wee bit of a workshop and training on that when David comes back later on.
No, I think you're doing a great job there, Graham. Keep it up. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely 3 yellows. I mean, there is whether they can get by the guard or not. I think Duncan's looking up the angles here, driving it back. Oh, a good shot, really good shot there. A double raise promotion.
And now lying 1, Richard.
Yep. And 1 guarded as well, I think.
Did he keep the guard up the front too?
I think they did. A really good. Now that would be a shot I would like to see a replay of.
You're pushing me.
Is that a shot that could be entered into shot of the month?
I certainly think so, yes. We should maybe have mentioned that to the teams before they started today, that we do run a competition, shot of the month, and they were certainly will have a lot of potentials, I imagine. Maybe we should start logging them. We can put a wee compilation together. That
would be a good idea, or is that something maybe David could do?
We'll give him the information and hope that he can do it. Yeah.
This is James Stark playing. I think he's just... Is he calling for the freeze? Or no, he's calling to...
promotion on his own yellow.
Promotion the yellow bar. Pushing the yellow bar.
There is a yellow just up the front of the 12 foot. I think he's coming down that side to try and tap it in. Looks like it's curling a little bit too much. He could be coming straight to the shot.
I think it was the freeze it was called. Yep.
He certainly played it well.
It was called.
Played it very well.
And obviously with that they've now got the line, so they know the line down there. I think Graham and Duncan's just called the same shot again.
It's certainly not a bad ploy by the McCleary team. A lot of teams feel the need to go after the shots, but if you restrict your opponents to just scoring the one when they've got last stone, it's actually a very good result for you. You turn the hammer over, give yourself a chance for a couple of scores yourself.
Yeah, certainly that's correct, Graham, because with McCleary stealing one in the last end, if he only loses a one this end and gets the hammer back, the kind of advantage is in his court. Or rather than court, should I say ring.
So you can see there the challenge ahead. They've got to come past the top guard and the yellow stone in the 12 foot. Looks like a good line.
It's still got a wee bit of weight on it though.
I think the blue will still be shot there, but that was quite a close one. They nearly moved the blue out a shot.
I mean,
not sure if that's a good result yet or not. To be fair, I think he may well have left the same shot back down there with a wee tap on the yellow now to the button, and he could be in a little bit of bother again.
Well, that's what I was just wondering about when they actually elected to actually try to freeze against that centre shot in the first place. It just was a wee bit concerning for me that the blue could have went out at a later stage, you know.
Here we can see the both sides now, in turn and out turn, and it looks like the out turn shot is the one that's favoured here to come down, follow that last shot, tap the yellow in, try and steal. Interesting end. These teams are starting to now play some good curling here.
You just wonder whether or not here they had a wee bit luck that he couldn't get a 2 out of this mind. If it just went against Duncan. The yellows seem to me to be better placed than the blues.
Certainly at the moment looking in favour of the McCleary rink, who've just got that stone at the top of the 4 foot, and they're actually throwing here, so it gives them a chance to get another one in.
So it's just not drawn as much as they would have thought. But James Stark can indicate it was a wee bit high. I think they were obviously wanting it to come in by that front yellow one and come right in, but they just caught the guard there. One in the front ring, the one in the 12 foot.
What would you be playing here if you were out there on the ice having to throw this shot?
Would you put a guard on?
He's lying one. A guard is an option.
You know,
he's got last stone though.
Put a guard in. Aye, but he's got the blue on the right hand side. If you put a guard on, the danger to me is that those two yellows, either one of them could be take out the shot stone. So if you put a guard onto there or just locked into there, that would stop them doing that, and then you would play on the right hand side.
I think the blue stone that we can see in the screen there, top of the 4 foot, that is next to the yellow, locked onto it there. It's almost acting like a guard. Any contact on that blue stone and the yellow at the top of the 4 foot is going to go out across to the left of the screen. For me, I think the danger is the yellows on the top of the 12 foot. McCleary team have got two options there to promote the yellow in, and again try and get the steal. And we can see now there's a lot of feet in the picture now. The full team's come down to discuss this one, and they're just trying to figure out what to do.
It's either that or you come down the right hand side, just move your blue there that's at the top of the 4 foot, and just move that just maybe a few inches further forward to take off the chance that they'll get the double and take the short blue out, you know.
Well, they're certainly taking their time and looking up at all the options. I think they're kind of favouring the hit on the yellows at the front, and that would certainly open it up for Duncan's last shot. But equally, if they get the angle slightly wrong, it could.
They've elected for Inter now, I think, to come down and promote their own blue into the 4 foot and try and roll across onto that top yellow. So looking just to push the blue counter up into the 4 foot. I'm not sure they can get the right angle to lie second, but certainly might be able to beat the Yellowstone.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Graham. They're just trying to get another one in play, just at the either chap the existing blue or just kind of sit alongside it, and then Duncan would have a couple of options with his final shot.
Not only that, if he moves that top yellow there, you know, the one that's on the top of the 4 foot, if he just moves that a wee bit to the left as we look at it, it kind of blocks them from trying to hit the short stone.
The sweepers are on this. We're working it hard. It looks like a good line. Doesn't look too bad a result there. He's got options now. He's made it very difficult on the left-hand side to promote a yellow onto the short stone. They could potentially promote it onto their own shot, but there's the chance that they push that out through the gap. And now there's a few blues in good positions there.
Yep, so just to sum up, there'll be one blue will be lying one just now. The blue just behind the hog, just behind the tee line. And then the yellow just behind it will be the second shot, and the blue on the wing will be third shot, and then yellow fourth. You think that's correct? Blue 1, yellow 2, blue 3.
I would agree with you.
And the yellow the fourth shot.
Right.
You can see a different angle there now. Just exactly what they're faced with.
But equally, that yellow at the top of the 4 foot, it just needs nudged back
2 or 3 inches, Richard, and it should be in for
half
shot.
a stone and it'll be shot. But they have, of course, got the options that even if they nudged it back right onto the button, it would still be shot.
I think the easiest option is to try and promote the yellow to the very left of the two up in the top of the 12 foot, the left yellow. If they can push that forward at an angle, it possibly gives them a little bit more to play with.
That would maybe give them 2.
Trying to tap the one straight down the middle looks very tight to get it angled right, but we'll soon find out. It's on its way, the sweepers are on it.
Say they're going for the wide.
Oh, they're just playing a draw shot.
Just a gentle tap, I think. Has it got the speed?
I don't think it.
No, need to work it. Don't think it's got the weight or the angle.
But what they have done is potentially left the angle to run them out. Duncan Gracie in there very quick.
There's
Is that
definitely
a plant? Is it a
there
plant?
Is definitely a plant onto that, and they're looking it up.
I take it that the blue, the right hand blue at the top of the 8 foot there onto the yellow is not the shot to play.
It would potentially give them an
3.
easier chance of certainly scoring that 2. Hitting a yellow in could potentially be a little bit dangerous. They've got to get the angles right here. It's definitely one blue at the moment.
Yep, definitely one blue. I don't think the angles are quite right for the yellow at the front of the 4 foot going to the yellow at the back of the 4 foot.
I would have thought the blue on the right hand side at the top of the 8 foot was the shot to play. Too risky.
We're just having a wee look at the angles, and we think there is a plant there.
And
Well, there is definitely a plant, but whether the angles will be right for taking the 2 yellows out.
the whole team's down there again. I think if you hit that stone on the left, the planted stones, I think if you hit it on the left, you may well push it over the top of the yellow stone, top of the 4 foot, and lift the double. It's difficult to tell from where we are. Obviously there's more distance between the stones.
It's risk versus reward.
I think the safest shot, John, is what you mentioned earlier, the blue stone in.
Aye.
And almost just play it at hack weight and try and rumble it through the gap between the yellow and blue and see if they can squeeze a 2 or 3 out of it.
If not, you get 1.
They're tempted here, though. You can see them. They've come back to this. The plant.
But if it did come off, that could be another contender for shot of the month.
We certainly need to log this one.
But really, looking at it, can they end up losing anything?
It just depends on how they're locked.
It does.
You know, if they're locked at the wrong angle, he can actually. It might not just go where he wants it to go.
Yep, a little bit of snooker here for any of you out there that are good with your angles. We'll just watch how this one reacts. We're going to stay.
Wait on it anyway.
We're going to stay on the overhead shot so we get a good view of this. It's heavy. It's on its way. The sweepers aren't on it. He's got it.
Well done.
Oh, what a shot.
Yep, good shot.
And it was definitely on for 3 there. If you've got a little bit more of that stone at the front, I think he's scoring 3 out of that. Lovely shot for 2.
Well done.
Yeah, so that's another contender for shot of the month there. So that was 2 from the Gracie rink on just that one end. But yeah, Graham certainly called. We looked at the angles there, and we certainly called it was possible, and Gracie did pull it off. I'm sure he'll be pleased with that shot.
Aye, should be.
We've got the other scores up on the screen just now. We've got Alan Manuel 2-1 up against Grant Hardy. Warwick Smith 1 down against David Mundell. And Murray Coombe 4-2 up against the Fraser rink.
Blair Fraser, I think it is Richard Blair Fraser.
Yep.
I think Warwick Smith has just tied the game up at 2-2 actually. I think there's they've just put the 5th end up. Yep, it's now 2-2. So it was a steal of a 1 from Warwick there. But we'll take you back to the action of McCleary Gracie, as it's turning out to be a very good game.
Just looking down, we've got Manuel against Hardy. Have they got a score still to go up, or are they a full end behind the Mundell Smith rink? It does look as if Smith and Mundell are playing quite quick, because that's them completed 5 ends. They're just getting the ice sheepskin just now before they start off.
All very experienced players on that sheet. I think they've potentially all played at World Championships, all 8 players. We'll let you work out if that's factual or not, Richard. You've got the list in front of you there. But very much experienced there, so they know how to keep a game moving. They're all efficient, being in the hack, ready to play.
I would say you could be right. I'm not going to say definitely, but if we're including certainly World Juniors there, I would say probably it is correct, yes.
We may even well need to throw in Europeans to cover everybody. They may not all have been at World Championships, but potentially have been at a European.
I think if we do throw in a Europeans, it is covered, yes, so we can say they've all played at international.
Gavin Baird there playing a lovely draw shot to draw to the centre and just lie towards that blue shot of the McCleary rink. Scott Robertson being asked to do the same, perhaps maybe tap it back, I'm just not sure. A couple of front guards that could be a wee bit annoying for the McCleary rink later on. Stone running on, it might catch the guard, is it?
No,
Just
it's by the
past.
guard there. Top of the 8 foot, yep. Good shot.
Good sweep in there as well.
Mhm.
Dragged that one into the top of the house.
So a wee bit head scratching here. Does he get rid of some of the guards? Yes, common sense dictates policy.
Oh, not always, John, not always.
All right, okay.
Certainly some of the Super League games I play at Lockerbie, you would think that, but no, certainly common sense does not prevail.
Goes out the window, does it? Aye. One shot of the month. Sweepers are working hard on this one. It's got the weight.
It's got the weight. Has it quite got the angle?
He's pushing the blue up as well.
Unlucky.
He has, however, opened the back blue up. Whether that is of any help or not, I'm not sure, but the yellow quite heavily protected there in the 4 foot now.
So Duncan electing for another shot into the 4 foot there. Or about the front of the 4 foot. A good one would be just locking onto the opposition yellow. Not sure what he was looking a bit perplexed there.
It's coming nicely now, although has it got curl enough?
It looks as if it's a bit heavy, but
No, I think it's got a freeze just.
Just came up to his own one.
maybe not the best for him. Oh damn, what am I doing?
So yeah, so that was a wee bit of a mistake from Duncan Gracie's rink there. The shot just came a wee fraction too far. But now Ross is calling for just the freeze on top of the blues.
Maybe just to hopefully tap one of the blues back as well. Looks just back ring kind of weight, doesn't it?
It looks a wee bit high, as if it's got to bounce off to the side. It's got to get a wee half bounce. Aye. I would have liked that to draw in just another quarter of a stone more.
Yes.
And Duncan's just calling for one the top of the 8 foot there, just kind of protecting his blue, but also giving them options to kind of maybe hit one later.
They could take the double there, mind.
There is a double.
They could catch the inside of that yellow and spring it across to the right as we look at it.
Oh, and they've decided to have a wee discussion.
Duncan
Calling
them up.
Yep.
Discussions are good.
Is this
Calling in the heavy squad.
Yep.
Right.
It's calling Scott up and just having a wee debate as to what would be best. Sometime it can be best just to ask the player that's about to play the stone what he feels comfortable with. I think they're just calling the draw. Just freeze, either just sitting right on the yellow or just in front of it, in the top of the 8 foot there. So that'll be Scott Robertson to play this. Scott's obviously got a lot of experience at Dumfries. He does play a lot of curling at Dumfries, doesn't he, Graham?
Yeah, he plays in the top league, Division 1. I think he's also a member of the Abbey Curling Club. They play a lot of games here and at Lockerbie.
Yep, they do. He was actually playing at Lockerbie last night. I seen him playing in, I think it was the Cardigan Home Trophy.
Just a little heavy, that shot there, perhaps. Needed to curl a little bit more, get the inside edge of the yellow.
Yep, maybe just a wee fraction down there.
I think it was actually Rory throwing that shot.
Oh,
Scott just been asked for for some guidance.
Well,
Scott obviously got a lot
there.
of knowledge there, and it's been called on in that shot. Rory been asked to throw it.
Hence why the names were going up and down the board like a yo-yo.
We're confusing you there, John, were we?
Oh, right, I'm too far ahead. I better move this back, like.
But I think we'll all be right in saying this will be James Stark to play now.
We hope so,
McCleary's Vice. I'm just checking the hack. It's quite difficult to see. Yes, it's definitely James Stark playing the shot. Just released that.
Things are looking good for Duncan Gracie at this, just the way the stones are lying there.
I was trying to decide who might be better off throwing the big heavy shot down here first. I'm still undecided, but this one's catching the guard, so there may not be an option now to throw the heavy shot down there. I wondered if somebody might just have taken the opportunity a wee bit earlier. It's now blocked.
Yep, that's right, Graham. Sometime in a situation like that, it can be who blinks first and who decides, am I just got to throw a large weight down there and just clear the house. And quite often when they're all at wee angles like that, you think it's going to go your way, and it doesn't.
A lot of hilarity in the background there.
It sounds like we've got a big crowd in. We should also give a little mention, Andrew White's 50th. I believe he's in for a few drinks tonight, so happy birthday, Andrew.
Damn decent of you
we'll
to buy a drink, Andrew. Well done.
We'll maybe get the viewing gallery to sing a wee song later on.
So have we decided on the song now, Graham? Will it be Happy Birthday?
Happy Birthday sounds quite a good option.
The advantage with that is I think most people know the words, don't they?
Even when they've had a couple of sherries.
Again, a lot of discussion taking place over this shot. For me, it's now a case of forcing the one. If you open this up, it gives McCleary the chance of scoring a couple here.
I think they're looking at running the blue back onto yellow, onto blue and onto yellow. So I mean, it is trying to move 4 stones.
They're all after shot of the month.
Yep, exactly. And there is a bit of distance between each shot, so if the angle on one of them is slightly out,
I think they've got to block that front blue. See where the brushes are?
I actually think that they just block the draw. Rather than blocking the raise, block the draw to the button. That's the only shot I can see to score a simple 2. If they block that draw on the out turn and make it difficult for the opposition to score their 2, that would make the game peels and they would have hammer.
But will the opposition, if they don't block it, will the opposition try and bounce the blue into yellow, blue into yellow?
That would be a big risk for them, because obviously there's a lot of blues in the house. If they start moving the yellows round about, they might end up losing a shot. Well, the only option for the McCleary rink would be to raise one of the yellows on the right hand side, one of those 2, raise them in.
They must be going for a draw to sit somewhere about the left hand side of the stones on the 8 foot, are they?
We'll see in a minute where, if Duncan points out very well, he's signalling it's wide. How's the speed?
Speed looks.
Are they trying to catch the button here? Oh, it looks very heavy. Coming in here.
It might just catch.
A little bit of a wasted shot there. I think that's the first one we've actually seen that's been wasted this game. They've been playing very well so far. Just maybe a little bit of indecision on the shot that they were asked for.
So do you think that was actually the way they played, and do you think they were trying to just get a wee bit on the yellow shot that's currently in the 4 foot to move it to the side? Because it did seem quite a lot of weight.
Yeah, I don't know if that benefited them at all though. You know, they're going to be pushing the yellow into the blue and other yellow stones, so it's not really going to move far. The only way that yellow's coming out is from the other side.
Yeah, exactly, Graham.
It may actually have helped them now though. That blue nick on the blue has moved it across, and it's meant that the raise on the yellow has now become a narrower target. And you can see it looks like they're lining up the tap up on the yellows.
So this is James Stark's second shot. And it's coming down. Are they just trying to tap the yellow? Has he got the angle?
Looks okay.
It's not far away. It's not far away.
Just a little light away. Perfect angle. There's a lot of stones in there now.
There is. And I mean, this is the danger if somebody does decide to drive it back and the angles aren't quite wrong. It could go either way.
Again, for me, this is high risk. Running the garden when you don't have last stone.
Yep, and I mean, if the angles are just wrong, you could even... The yellow that's sitting at the top of the 4, you could just go onto the blue and maybe just nudge the blue back and end up lying 2 yellows. But either way, they're talking about moving 3 or 4 stones here. And of course, whenever you do try and move 4 stones, you're having to make sure it's a big weight. Yep, shots away, it is a big weight. Following it down.
It's close. Oh, he's still just lying. Is he lying 1 or 2 now?
Line 2, he might even be line 3.
Has he left the double though to lie 3 against?
Well, that's it.
In fact, I don't think the angle's there. It looks pretty flat. Just goes to show they obviously looked at all the angles down there.
Well read from their point of view, wasn't it?
Yep.
Well
lying
read.
2 shots now.
Yep, 2. Can we get the overhead, Graham?
Not from this end, unfortunately. We've got a slanting roof in at the ice bowl, and the away end is the lower end of the 2, and there's no overhead camera at this stage.
Because even looking at the angles, the blue at the back of the 4 foot, could that be third shot? Certainly the blue, the 2 blues, they'll be counting 1 and 2, and then it'll be between the blue at the back of the 4 foot as we look at it, and the yellow as to where the blue are line 2 or even 3.
I think that probably they are line 3.
Yeah, because when I came down, I think I seen Duncan indicate he put 3 fingers up. So if it has come off again, that's another contender for shot of the month from Duncan Gracie there. Equally, there will be a double on here for McCleary. If he gets the angles just right, lifts the 2 blues, and if the shooter sits at the back, or even if he gets half of it and just rolls on.
We'll know shortly. It's on its road.
And that's now 1 yellow shot. So a good shot from McCleary. Just the hit and roll over the face of the house and stop the 4 foot.
Very unlucky there as well. Just a wee bit more contact, he might have got to the blue stone.
Will there be a road through? He'll have to try and promote the yellow, will he? No, try and promote the blue. Is he going for a big hit again? Again, a risky tactic. It might come off, it might not.
I'm surprised he's not doing what you were suggesting before, Graham, which is just trying to draw around and draw to the button.
Again, there's options now for Ross McCleary with his last shot, so coming round there with the draw may not be the best option anymore.
Yeah, because if Duncan went for it and it sat a wee bit high, that would give McCleary almost an easy hit for a 2.
The Blues are looking a little bit more vulnerable now. They were in pole position, but just that, although it was a great shot that Duncan played, it did open up all the gaps, and a good shot was played back by Ross. So it's really turned this end on its head. And is he going to get this?
No.
Oh, now then, we may see an attempt at a big shot here.
This will be the last rock, though, isn't it? This is the
last stone of the end. Last stone of the end, yep.
So is he looking to sneak the blue out to maybe get a 3? Would you go for the risky 3 or just draw? No, I think he's
going to draw for 2.
Draw for a 2.
Draw for 2, get ahead of the game again.
So he's guaranteed 1. There's definitely 1 yellow shot sitting there just now. And Ross McCleary just has to draw. He would have to be certainly biting the 4 foot. If he's half in the 4 foot, he'll definitely be second shot. There's an open draw. He hasn't threaded his way through any guards, just he can see off the 4 foot. But this is the 5th end, so after this they'll have a break. Just a couple of minutes to kind of collect their thoughts before they start the second half. Shots away, sweepers on it. Sweepers on it, they're working it hard. Is it by the guard?
It looks okay.
Absolutely
perfectly drawn.
Really
absolutely
well
perfectly drawn. He maybe got a wee bit close to the guard for comfort. They certainly had to work it to get by the guard. But excellent drawing onto the pot lid for his 2.
Good sweeping.
So we've had quite an exciting first 5 ends here at Dumfries, with Ross McCleary having a slight advantage with 4-3 up going in the break at 5 ends. Gracie's got the hammer. But we've certainly seen some really good ends, really close ends, nip and tuck all the way, and I think we've had 3 or 4 shots that could be contenders for shot of the month. And I think they all came from the Gracie team, did they not?
There was certainly a lot of good ones. Has been a very good 5 ends of curling. Score very evenly matched as well.
And other games that's there, the Smith and Mandel, as we might be able to show you, they're sitting at 2-all as they've went for their break. On sheet E, Manuel is it, versus Hardy, and last shot's coming here, and they have Manuel's just taken the 2 off young Hardy. Grant with his last shot there, I think he drew up a wee bit short, and he was looking to be one on the left and one on the right hand side of the rings, and that's just lost him 2. And Fraser versus Coombs. Coombs is as they've finished their break and they go into the second half of the game. Coombs is, I think it's 2 up. So really close games right across the board.
So anybody out there listening, there's curling on all weekend with sessions starting from 8:30 tomorrow morning and going through till 8 o'clock tomorrow night. So if anybody is in the Dumfries area, feel free to drop into the ice bowl and watch some of the men's Playdowns.
Yes, we start at 8:30 in the morning, and even tonight they'll be curling on here till there's still another session to start, and it starts at let me have a look. 8 o'clock.
I think we're 8 o'clock practice and 8:30 kick-off, I believe, but we may well be slightly behind time, but we'll see how that progresses.
And it seems quite a quick break there, but obviously they must be keen to get off, get their tea. So that's Ross McCleary's team just starting this 6th end.
Well, as Richard was saying there, we thought that it would be maybe off for 5 or 6 minutes and that, but we're straight back in. In fact, I better start to update some players here. And so here we are, and we're in the 6th end of this McCleary versus Gracie game, and Gracie's got a guard out there in the centre, and we've got a couple of McCleary stones in there. They've just moved them, and Duncan electing to hit and roll. Interesting to just see how that last end has actually affected the teams, with McCleary having that benefit of now starting, knowing that he came up and actually overtook Gracie. So it'll be nip and tuck here.
Yep, they're right there, John, and certainly with the way it went, I think the Gracie team will be a wee bit disappointed, particularly with Duncan playing a really good raise of 4 shots to lie 2, and then or even lie 3, and then McCleary come in with a hit and just getting it buried. So I would say that Duncan's team might be feeling a wee bit deflated, but still everything to fight for, and of course that makes a difference in the end if they're going to fight to the end.
Yeah, and for me, the shot that he played was really difficult, and he really did execute it very well. It was a fantastic shot, but for me it opened it up, and it then gave Ross McCleary the chance to have a look at a couple of other shots, whereas if he hadn't played that, he may well have forced the one and the game would be tied. But with Hammer, So it's just a different way of looking at it, but it was a wonderful shot that he played.
Yep, you're right there, Graham. That's always the risk when you try and move a lot of shots, that you can open it up for the other team. Scott Robertson in the hack, ready to play.
Not sure if Scott's in agreement with what they're playing here, because it kind of looked a wee bit thoughtful anyway. He's playing the shot now.
He's playing big weight, playing a strike. Trying to hit and get a wee roll, or try to lift the double. No, he's hitting and just rolling out, so they certainly would have wanted it to be somewhere about.
There's some kind of discussion as to do we move up the front blue, do we come round, and then aye. Certainly I get the impression my team, McCleary, are up for it now, just the way that they went straight into the game and jumping about, for want of a better word.
Yep, they certainly seem to be up for that.
And we saw that happening earlier, John, as well, with the game that we were following, John Hamilton against Kyle Smith. Kyle looked completely in control, and the Hamilton team just came out and they scored a 3 and they were straight back on it. And just the momentum change was incredible.
Scott playing his shot, and Duncan indicating it's still a bit high.
Hitting and rolling now. No, it's got a wee bit of movement on it. Yep, so McCleary just calling the hit and the roll behind the guard. That would be the perfect shot.
Just wonder if are they playing it a wee bit wide when they're playing weight, or is it running back? If it does, will this run back and then end up jamming the blue onto the yellow,
That is always a risk when they're at this angle. It does look high just now. The jam could be, yes, the jam, it's just running,
stay.
not quite.
Does.
Yep, you were right there, John. It just seemed to stay a wee bit high.
Advantage Gracie.
Yep, it is now. That just shows how one shot can change the end, because if McCleary's team had executed that perfectly and got a roll behind the guard, they were in control of this end. But they just got the jam. Now if Gracie gets a hit and his shooter stays in, they'll pretty much just want a nose hit in this, won't they? Split the house.
I was just wondering whether or not the yellow was actually beating the blue, and if the blue was shot, would they maybe look better to have drawn for the 4 foot and moved it towards the centre,
Possibly. The thing is, with the blue at the back, it's still in the open. So.
I think from that shot,
yellow looked shot, didn't it?
From there.
Yep, yellow looked shot.
Yeah, so he has to get rid of it.
But he's rolled out. So again, kind of almost a wee half mistake there.
And is that
Drury throwing third for Duncan's team?
Have I missed a couple of shots?
Now McCleary going for a hit on Gracie's blue shot.
I think that yellow on the outside is actually hanging in, so it'll be a counter.
Another flob in the wing there, John?
Definitely a flob. A flobby. Well played. Nancy, would you like to come and tell us about things? Come and have a few words and give us some opinions on the game. Come on. Come here, Nancy. Come on. How's things?
I'm very well, thank you, John. I've just got called in, and I didn't know if you hear that. I didn't realise I was going to do. That's what happens when you're just round the corner and showing your face now and again.
It's good to see you again. How's your team going?
Yeah, we're We're in terms of Team Grey, we're quite obviously quite happy where we're at just now. We managed to win our first game here, which is always the key. Just keep winning games, and hopefully that gets you, at the top of the board that you want to be in terms of top 3, which is now our section. So
good.
I gather is it McCleary Gracie game that you're watching?
It is, and it's been a good game to watch, and some good shots in that. And in fact, we were, when we've watched the first session in that, really a lot of good curling in that out there today. It'll be a hard competition for everybody.
Yep, so that was very good, Nancy. Yes, very informative. So you'll be here all weekend?
I certainly will. Good to be back to where my roots are and where I used to work as well. So it's familiar territory for me. So great to see this ice rink putting on a show like this as well. And obviously it's a big marker for them in terms of the Worlds coming up at the end of the season, which will be pretty exciting for a facility like this.
We still use some of the lessons that you taught us with the young kids and that, by the way. Can I say to you, you are not forgotten.
Well, the good thing is, I think, thanks, John. I'll take that as a compliment.
It is a compliment.
I'm sure there's a lot of tricks of the trade still getting learned along the way as well. But no, it's great to see the faces that you taught back in the days, and I know there's a great junior club here, so it's great to see Graham and all the coaches doing a fantastic job. That's what you want to see. You just want to, for the sport, it can only be a good thing.
Come along any time to any of the coaching lessons. We'll be pleased to see you, okay?
I'm always hearing good things about the coaching here, John.
Come here, okay. Right, yeah, Nancy. I'm sorry to throw you in the deep end there, lass. Bye.
And for anybody that didn't know, that was Nancy Murdoch, who is coaching Logan Gray's team this weekend. Anybody from the Dumfries area or the Lockerbie area will know Nancy has been coaching in this area for very long, and now she's at national level, international level.
I didn't want to actually say Nancy Murdoch because I couldn't remember what her married name was. Sorry. Nancy used to do a lot of coaching here, and I always remember. I always remember how she always went on about the handles, and we still try to impress the kids on how to hold the stones and how to actually release it. Probably based on what I heard from her. So anyway, to get back to here, because I'm totally lost who's playing.
Well, now Duncan Gracie's just played a shot. He's coming down. Currently Ross McCleary's Yellowstone is sitting. Duncan Gracie's coming down onto it, just where in a battering weight.
Looks a wee bit short. He need to really work that to catch it.
I think he was going for a hit and roll behind the guard, but he's not quite got it. So I think certainly Ross McCleary will be able to see certainly half of it. Will he come down just a barrier weight and hit it out? And then that could leave McCleary line 3.
Either that or just even hack weight, just move it back so that it's just towards the back end of the 12 foot,
Just got to make sure they miss that top guard. They don't want to catch that at down weight and just push it into the house. They then leave the potential double at the back to count 3 again, so they've got to be careful with this one.
So more positive than anything,
And just got to make sure they err on the high side here.
Yep, sweeper's called on, yeah.
Looks good
though.
Here you can see.
Nice shot, it's a good roll out though.
Again,
and
that's
it rolls
a big
out.
roll, big roll there.
Mm-hmm.
But Ross McCleary's still lying 2 yellow stones. I think, is Duncan going for the freeze on one of those yellows? Or just sit in front of one of those yellows?
This is last shot, isn't it?
This the hammer? Yep, it is. So this is the hammer. He'll just be trying to draw anywhere in the 8 foot.
Hard to believe we're only in the 6th end. 6th end. There's still another 4 to go after this one.
Yep, we've had some really good curling so far. All the ends have been different. They have all. Some have been really kind of girdly and some have been open, but some really great curling so far. Gracie's got this.
Duncan happy with this. Last stone at the end. Scores a 1.
Take his 1.
So on this occasion, forced to take the 1, which now puts him 4-4 without hammer, and advantage to McCleary now.
Well, it's the first shot in play in this 7th end. Just a halfway guard. Ross McCleary's team sweeping this stone, sweeping it to try and get by. And is it by? Yes, it is by.
I think it may have nibbled it on the way past there.
Yeah, seems to be running on. But yep, good shot there. Duncan's just calling the follow it down. If you can stop just in front of the tee line, that would be perfect. And just one thing that, I mean, there's Duncan's playing with a hairbrush. Everybody else has got synthetic heads. Have you got an opinion on that, Graham? Do you think that if you skip it makes a difference, or?
Certainly you find most of the sweepers with synthetic brushes these days. Very much dependent on ice conditions. The hairbrushes seem to be a wee bit better if the ice frosts up a wee bit. But you don't seem to see any of the actual sweepers in the teams at the moment working with hairbrushes. Maybe just a preference.
I'll maybe just have to ask him on Wednesday night if he thinks it's
an advantage.
Although being skip, he's really just having to sweep it from the.
I was just going to throw that in there, back. Richard, and actually ask, have we seen him sweep yet? So you can see this one coming in nicely. It looks like a great line. Avoids the backstone as well.
I was actually playing in a competition last week at Lockerbie, the W. Smith, which is quite a top class competition, and one of our team members was a wee bit unfit and he actually was worried about having to sweep a lot, and our reply to him was, well, if every shot's played perfectly you won't have to sweep.
Absolutely.
I will admit every shot was not played perfectly and he did have to sweep.
He would feel the better for it afterwards though.
I don't think he was saying that come the Thursday morning after 4 games where he had to sweep a lot. It is actually somebody that you may well know, Kevin Scott. We got him back in out of retirement. He's been out of the game for about 15 years, but
very good.
We got him back in playing and he actually won a prize with us.
Same shoes?
He has actually got his same Adidas shoes, yes. For anybody that's been about the curling circuit for a few years, they may, we say probably about 20 or 25 years, they may remember the Adidas used to make curling shoes. They're quite rare now.
It's like the boxers trainers, wasn't it?
Yep, exactly the same style.
A little slack shot there from the Gracie rink. Just a little bit too much pace on that one. It's rolled out to the side.
Yep, McCleary's looking quite good here with 2 shots on a guard. If he can get another one just in the house, that'll put the pressure on Duncan. But I seem to remember a player, Kenny Thompson, that used to play in the juniors. He's actually from Renfrew. He now lives in New Zealand. And last year at the World Championship, he played with a white pair of Adidas curling shoes because they were white and black, the colours of New Zealand. and as far as I'm aware, is the only player at the World Championship that was playing with Adidas trainer curling shoes.
Now that has to be a fact for the day. I don't think that we've come up with a better one so far, Richard, anyway.
Is this another wee competition, Graham? We've had shot of the month. Are we going to have fact of the month, maybe?
We could certainly invite people to throw in their facts of the month. I'm quite sure there must be something on the weather that would come in there. So the Gracie rink in a little bit of bother this end, without Hammer as well.
Yep, if the McCleary rink can get another shot in. Currently they're line 2. They're looking at hitting the blue one, hitting Duncan's shot out in the wing. If they got a nose hitting that, it would be line 3, and it would be at the back of the house, so there wouldn't be a double set up. No, they're back to the draw round. Yep. Yep, Ross McCleary corner draw. And if he can get round the guard, get that half buried.
Yeah, it'll also take off one of the raises on the two blues if they can get round them. If they could get round to the 8 foot, it would probably stop the raise on both shots. We'll soon find out. This looks like it's a little firm.
It looks like it's heavy. They're sweeping it.
I'm trying to go past it now.
To get a wee wick. No.
We were saying this earlier as well, Richard. We're now into the 7th end, which is near the end of the game. Concentration levels, fitness levels are all going to come into play now, and this is certainly where we found that the teams that were behind in the game in the first session really came back into the game. So it's going to be a case of keeping their concentration levels high. That Yellowstone's actually stopped at the back of the house. It may still come into play as well.
It might do. It might do. Gracie looking at the raise one of the blues back. If he does get this perfect, then certainly the 2 Yellowstones will go. And then it could well have a blue sitting in the house, so it could go from line 2 down to line 2 up. They're watching it. This is James Stark.
It's a little high. It's a little high. Could be taking his own one.
Oh, yep, and he's just nicked his own one out, so that was definitely a mistake there.
The fob comes into play.
Oh, I'm sorry, that wasn't James Stark.
No, that was Rory.
That was Rory. From our position here, they're actually sliding away. That's the commentator's excuse just now.
Well, that's quite a good one, though. We'll let you away with that one.
I was just doing an update on the scores there. Fraser versus Coombe. It's 5-4 for Fraser.
We can show you these, John. We'll just pull it up on the screen for you.
Then.
There you can see them.
Grant Hardy just took a 4 there. Manuel tried to do a hit and roll, and it never came off for him. And so Grant took the last remaining yellow out and lay him 4. So he's went from 2 down to 2 up.
And they seem to be struggling in that game for a wee while, so that should hopefully just get them going again. But we've just seen a nice shot played in there by James Stark, and Rory's now having to do some damage limitation here. It looks good.
Oh, well done.
Oh, but he's only got one of them. No, he's got 2. It sneaked out the side.
It was a bit unfortunate there. I thought he might have got actually a wee bit more.
I think there was almost a little bit of panic sweeping there as well at the end. There was a big call.
No, it was close on the front guard. certainly changed the game.
It has, but it's still advantage McCleary. He can throw one round the centre guard here again and lie 3.
And they've got last shot advantage.
This could be a big end within the game. Even just to score the 2 here would give them the 2-shot lead. This one looks a little heavy as well though. It's going to go back the way. Missed opportunity there.
A hit and roll would be probably the best one, wouldn't it?
Well, they've got the option of the hit and roll, or the even just the draw. You know, if they draw in, and I think if they freeze on that back yellow, they'll still be shot, but then of course McCleary could just follow it. Are they going for the hit and roll?
I think for me the hit and roll is the safer option. It also removes one of the yellow stones. If it runs a wee bit straight, you get the double at the back. For me, if this is left hanging out at all, they're still looking at losing a 3. They need to be very good with this one. Either needs to be right up onto the yellows, or it needs to be in behind the blue centre guard.
Yep, agree with you there, Graham.
And they're both so evenly matched that if one got up on the other one, it would be very difficult for the other one to catch up, I think, at this late stage.
Yeah, well, it'd be the first time that anybody got more than a 1-shot lead, so this game's been very evenly contested. A 2-shot lead would be quite significant at this stage of the game.
He's not playing certainly a strike weight, but
it's in the house. Is it getting a bounce? No. Pretty good shot.
It's quite a good shot there indeed. Certainly can't play direct at it, I don't think, to get it out.
Duncan's made some really good calls during the game and played some nice shots himself.
He's played some very important ones, yep. That's certainly one of them there. I think they may be lying 1.
It's quite close to call here, but I would say it's blue that shot and yellow second shot.
I don't know if that gives us any better of an idea.
I think McCleary here will be playing just to follow it and just freeze on top of the blue, or maybe even just catch it inside and try and.
Yeah, even a wee nudge back should leave him lying 2. The problem is Richard, they're all going to be behind T then, and Duncan's going to be able to follow them, but it puts the pressure on that last shot.
The ice that he's given, it looks as if he's
coming a wee bit
coming past. All right.
He's coming certainly a kind of battering barrier weight, yes, barrier weight I would say.
It's close to the guard.
He's on the guard. Oh, well, that was a mistake. Say advantage Gracie now. Sitchin at the top of the 4 foot. Second shot. And then McCleary would have a hit, but of course there's always shots at the back to jam on.
I thought they might have taken a wee bit more ice to actually try and half cover their own, the opposition yellow as well. Stop the opposition trying to try to hit across onto the.
It'll be interesting to watch the sweepers on this one, John, just to see where they're trying to position this.
Well, it's on its way. Just guard weight, draw weight.
Sweepers are off it at the moment. Looks like it's coming to the blue stone.
Just a tad heavier than probably what he wanted to be. Still a good shot.
Well, he may have left a shot for 2.
Certainly, even if your nose hit that, the shooter will be shot, won't it?
Yeah.
So Duncan wanted to be just slightly lighter, just slightly in front of there.
Are they looking to hit it and
I think
take the double?
Try and hit the top blue over the top of the other blue, and if they catch it on the way past, they should then bring the very back yellow into play and potentially score 2.
They're looking at the angles to split them out.
I would have thought that the blue and blue would have jammed.
I think if you catch the top blue half stone, it should split them all.
Yep, he'll have to be a big weight though, won't he? Full strike.
The only question would be, do you miss your own yellow on the left there of James Stark's brush? Do you miss that if you hit the blue at half stone? Because if you don't, you're going to run it out of play as well, which would mean you only score 1.
If you get that wrong, you could leave 2 blues, by the way.
Certainly risk versus reward here, eh? I think with enough speed, even if they catch it on the nose, it's coming down here.
He's got the angle he wanted to, no. Didn't quite catch enough of it. 1 blue shot, so 1 shot to Gracie. So that's Duncan Gracie, stole a 1. I think he'll be quite happy with that, and I think Ross McCleary's rink will be quite disappointed. Ross will be kicking himself with the way he caught the guard with his first shot, and that allowed Duncan right back into it. So Duncan is 1 shot up. Just going to the other games, and there's only 2 shots between Hardy and Alan Manuel. Hardy being 6-4 up. That's the biggest gap between them. Fraser and Murray Coombe are peels at 5 after 8 ends. Just sort of look down, see who's got the hammer, and it will be Fraser that's got the hammer in that. Warwick Smith and Mundell are Warwick Smith's 3-2 up. That's in the 7th end. And I'm just looking down, it looks 7th end. I think Warwick will have the hammer in that. No, Mundell's got the hammer in that, sorry. So Warwick 1 up without the hammer. And the game we're watching, McCleary, Gracie. Gracie 1 shot up with Ross McCleary having the hammer. But we've certainly got some tight games out there. Some really good curling going on. I mean, Murray Coombe on B sheet, he'll be hoping to win his game to keep his 100% record. Currently he's on 3 wins, sitting top of the section. So if he wins this tonight, he'll go 4-0. And certainly in this section, Graham, 4-0, you think that would guarantee a playoff at least?
You would think so, yes. You would never want to predict anything in this kind of game, but I think you're right. That would put them safe for a tie break at least.
I would certainly, if I was 4-0 and I didn't make a playoff, I would certainly be very upset. Equally, if you do go 4-0 and you didn't mean it, you obviously collapse your last games that you play, so you've maybe only got yourself to blame. Not that I'm predicting Murray Coombe will collapse, no.
So that was blank 7th end with Hardy and Manuel. So that was Scott Robertson just played there. So still nip and tuck here, 5-4, just one shot in it between McCleary and Gracie. Both teams have played some good curling, and really very few what you would term mistakes. Richard, would you say? It's just been the way that the game has went, as opposed to errors that's led to either one team or another winning that end.
Yeah, I would agree with you there, John. There has been very few mistakes. I mean, I think the mistake that kind of sticks in mind was just the last end where Ross McCleary went to put one in the house and he just caught the guard, and that kind of changed the end in favour of Duncan Gracie. But apart from that, there has been very few mistakes, and there has been some really good shots from both teams.
Now Duncan wanting to get rid of the guards. These are going to be a nuisance to him later on. Doesn't want to prevent him from being able to come in from either side. Sorry.
Just a little change in tactics, perhaps. Starting to run the guards off, thinking about ends 8, 9 and 10.
Yep, I would say there. I mean, Duncan, I think, will be quite happy just to swap singles all the way to the end. If he loses a single here, then takes a single, and then just have to take another one.
Is he thinking about tapping his own one back there?
I think again, just looking to remove the yellow guard. Just has to be careful to miss the two blues. Big weight here, big weight.
Yep, big weight made the shot. I wanted that yellow shot out of play, and his shooter out as well. Now James Stark just sitting in the hack, ready to play, and he's called a draw behind the guard, and James Stark just sitting in the hack indicated that he wanted to draw off the other handle. So Ross McCleary moved to the other side of the house. Obviously James must be more confident on that side of the house. Whether he thought there was a wee bit bigger draw or whether he just prefers that handle. Certainly coming by the guard by quite a lot. Starting to finish now. Yeah, they're just finishing it.
Good
Nicely
attempt there.
Mm-hmm.
Although it doesn't
Probably
seem
would
to
have just liked a few more inches on that.
Yeah, a little bit further in there. Might just have tucked it in behind the guard. Another 2 or 3 inches of running.
Duncan's not giving him much ice, so is he quite prepared to nick his own shot if need be?
I think he wants the yellow. He's just going to throw it hard.
Super's on it. Super's working all the way. Yep, by the guard.
Well done. Well done, Drury. Good shot.
We'll just call James Stark the same shot again and hope to get a wee bit more curl on this. Well, they certainly had the line last time. They just wanted to curl another wee half stone at the end. Sweeper's on it already, so has James paid it just a wee bit lighter maybe? Sweeper's working it all the way down. Well, working it hard.
He's going to be pushing it, I think.
I think he's just...
They're off it.
I think James maybe took a wee bit of weight off it, hoping to get a wee bit more draw. Oh, and that's a mistake from James Stark there, just hitting the blue in. So that's certainly advantage back to Duncan Gracie now. I think that was certainly a wee bit less weight, so whether Ross McCleary pulled a wee bit less ice and then James Stark played a wee bit lighter and it just curled more. But yep, here's Duncan trying to draw in round the two shots at the front here. The